Hello again, and welcome to Lesson 4 of Writer's Workshop. As you can probably see, not only do I have my special guest Kate back with me right now, but I am also surrounded by some really interesting objects and pictures. That's because today we're going to be talking about where do ideas come from? Have you ever had a hard time thinking of an idea for a story that you want to write or tell? If so, you are in luck, because that is exactly what we are going to be talking about in this lesson. I'm going to be sharing how I get my ideas and my tips and tricks for making sure that you will have plenty of ideas to draw from for your own storytelling. Now, my assignment for you in this lesson is to come up with at least 3 story ideas for a story that you would like to write down on paper by the end of this workshop. I recommend coming up with 3 story ideas, even though we're not necessarily going to be writing 3 stories, though of course you can write as many stories with this course as you would like to. But I recommend coming up with 3 because coming up with more than one idea lets you pick the idea that you are the most excited about. And it's a pretty normal part of writing to have lots of ideas and only write some of them. As a writer, I keep a file on my computer with all the ideas for stories that I have. And there are so many ideas on there that I will probably never write, even some of those that I really like, because they just don't excite me as much as the ones that I do choose to write. But I still think it's so important to write them down because I have noticed that for me, when I am keeping a habit of writing ideas down, whether that's in a little notebook that I keep with me or on my phone, or on my computer, the more I write ideas down, the more I get ideas and the more I notice ideas in the world around me. As an author, students often ask me, where do your ideas for books come from? And I always laugh at this question because the honest answer is the ideas for my books usually come from pretty weird places. I have a book that's coming out in a year and a half that's called The Stars of Whistling Ridge, and that book idea came from autocorrect. One day I was trying to Google something on my phone and autocorrect replaced one of the words that I was trying to write with a really strange and unusual word that is not what I was trying to write. And it was so weird and so funny that at first I just laughed and I got annoyed, like you do with autocorrect. And then I started thinking, that's such an interesting phrase that my phone just autocorrected to. Maybe I'll write a book about it. And I did, and it's one of my favorite things I've ever written. So today, I'm going to teach you how to use an author's eyes to look at the world around you and be inspired with lots of ideas that you can turn into stories later down the road. Now, like I mentioned, you can see that I have lots of interesting photos and objects around me. This is because when I do this workshop in person, I will often bring pictures or objects into the class with me and let the students look at them so that they can use them to come up with writing prompts and story ideas. Now, Kate is here to help me today to show what that looks like. So I'm going to show you the things that I have arranged here. I have a bunch of pictures that I found online. I'm also going to drop a link in the comments to a great website called Unsplashcom, which offers free stock images. And the way that I got all of these images that I'm going to show you closer in a minute is I went to Unsplashcom and I searched for interesting images. And all of these came up and lots more as well. So if you are feeling stumped and you are in need of an idea, I highly recommend going with an adult's help to Unsplash.com and searching interesting images. You might be surprised what comes up. The interesting images that I have right here on my board, I'll show you, are I have a raccoon, a unicorn pool floaty, a beautiful white tiger. That tiger is a really popular one in workshops when I teach in person. Lots of kids want to write about the tiger. A teddy bear sitting on a wall, a lovely fairy in a meadow, and Spider-Man reading a book. Another thing that you can use besides interesting images is common household objects that are around you. I had Kate, in preparation for this video, collect 10 toys that do not belong together. And she picked her seal, whose name is Selena. She also picked a bunch of other things. So over here we have a giant die, a pretend potato chip, an antelope, a pink, I don't even know what this is, a button I think,
Yes, that's
a exchangeable crayon, an alligator, a bouncy ball, a witch's cauldron, and rainbow dragon wings. Now, all of these objects and images are interesting on their own, but the assignment that I have children do when I teach this workshop in person is to take 2 or more of these images or objects and figure out how could they be in a story together. So for instance, if you look at a raccoon and a bouncy ball, you could say, how do a raccoon and a bouncy ball fit into a story together? What would a story about a raccoon and a bouncy ball be like? And you never know, that might inspire some really cool story ideas for you. You also don't have to use my toys and my pictures. You can look up pictures of your own. You can do the same thing that Kate and I did this morning. You can go around your house and find 10 household objects or toys that do not belong together, and then put them all together on the table and look at them and think, what connections could I build between these items that might not be there normally? And does that give me an interesting idea for a story? Once you have at least 3 ideas, I want you to write those down in a notebook or have your parent or helper write them down for you. And I want you to really think about what those stories would be like to write. And when you have one that you are super excited to write, then I want you to circle that one, and that is the one that we will be working on through the next several lessons. So I am so excited. In the next lesson, we are going to start planning our stories, and then we're going to be writing them. And I am really excited to continue on this journey with you. Thanks so much for watching.